What's going on? This is AKA Low, and you're listening to Low Notes. Today, I'm joined by half of the extremely dynamic duo hailing from Birmingham. It's Mr. Buddy Analogue of Big Head Mode. Woo! Everybody, big cheer.
Hey, mate.
First of all, how you doing? You good?
Doing good. Nice to I just got back from doing some more stuff in London yesterday, and feeling good to have the album out. Looking forward to getting out and playing it, and all good, man.
Good. Yeah, a little bit about that there. New album just came out last week. How's it been? Is it going well?
Yeah, I mean, the reaction's been amazing. It's been really good. We've kind of we did some releases a couple years ago, the demos that we worked on in lockdown and stuff like that. But this is our first big proper, album release. It's been amazing. It's weird with an album. Like I've been listening to these songs for so long now, and working them, going through the whole process of mixing. But it still feels exciting to listen to, which I guess is a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you speak a little bit about We there, and I wanted to kick off things by speaking about the most dumbfound part of Big Head Mode for me, which is that yourself and Ewan are obviously brothers. What's that like?
It's good. It makes logistically, it's like perfect, because it's like any band meeting or like rehearsal is just like hanging out with my little brother, which is, some people might shudder at the thought of that, but we get along pretty well. So it makes it makes life really easy. And it's good. We share like the same musical influences. We grew up listening to the same music. We have the same like core ethos and like approach to music. So in general, it's like the best thing. It makes things really easy. But it's also it's quite new. This project was the first time we ever did a creative project together, and that's like it's only about a few years old now. So yeah, it's very familiar and it's very easy, but it's also something quite new, like in the scheme of things.
Yeah, for sure. We spoke about a little bit about it there. Growing up, what was that kind of common ground you shared musically with artists you remember both being into?
It was the artist that like our mum was into, or like dad was into, like car music, like the CD wallet in the car, Motown, the Beatles, Michael Jackson, Dusty Springfield. Dad was into lots of classical music and jazz music, so I guess that's where all the jazz influences came from. And then when we were teenagers, it was like just loads of Chili Peppers and Rage Against the Machine and the Mars Volta, and always like on the some rock music, but always on like the funk element of things or like the groove element of things. Neither of us kind of did a crazy like metal phase, or he definitely dug deeper into hip hop as he like got into his 20s and got older, and I kind of dug deeper into some of the singer-songwritery stuff and Joni Mitchell and Americana and stuff like that. But yeah, when we were younger, it's just like what was in the house, which was always good music. We were kind of lucky in that respect.
Good, yeah. I know that's kind of one of the key elements of inviting someone into the world of music, especially then going on to do it as a career. In my house, it's 100% like one brother goes to football and that side of dad, and the other one goes to the kind of artsy music thing. So do you think it is mostly that type of upbringing that made you both go down the musician route?
Yeah, I mean, my parents were both like worked for the NHS. And then my mum was like a primary school teacher. So there wasn't, but on my dad's side, it's like a big musical family, but kind of in a church working class kind of Scottish way. My parents are both Scottish. So it was like culturally a lot of music happening, but not really, neither of them were professional musicians or anything like that. It was something that was really, really important growing up and really important for our family. And I guess that's what parents do, don't they? They bring you up, and then they give you an opportunity to do the things that maybe they didn't do, but they were really passionate about. So yeah, not vicariously living like, our dad's or mum's dream by being musicians, but we were very fortunate to be given that space to to have that as an option. Yeah, we're both really grateful for that.
Do you think did you always think it was in kind of your guys' personalities? I mean, by the sounds of it, with your brother being into hip hop and yourself getting more into the singer-songwriter stuff, it makes sense. It sounds like it makes sense that you went into kind of the keys and piano, and then he went drums away. But do you think that's why, maybe?
Yeah, I think it was circumstance, really. I played piano since I was about 7 and always did that. Tried some other instruments and like played a bit of bass and guitar and whatever, but like, you know, I've always just like, that's been my main instrument. And then drums with him. I don't know, really. I remember him getting his first drum kit for Christmas from, I remember sorting that out with Mum. And then, I don't know, really, he just like ended up like following a similar path. I mean, he's a good piano player as well. He used to play trumpet, I think, back in school as well. And he's a good singer. He does other stuff apart from his drums. He's a really good composer. But yeah, it's just like the way that things worked out. It definitely wasn't pre-planned in a like sibling band kind of way, you know. It wasn't assigned to us by our parents. But yeah, it's just the way it turned out, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And together, now you take it to the modern day, you both go under Big Head Mode. Why the name? Feels like something I'd maybe call my little brother.
It was, someone asked us about this in another interview the other day. We had like a bunch of names, right? We had it like with anything. We spent quite a while thinking about it. It was going to be Mars for a bit, like Maars. But then like there was loads of bands at the time that were doing like double vowels, or it was a word, but one of the letter was different. We were like, okay, well, maybe that's a bit cheesy now. We'll think of something different. And then we were going to call it the Arts Council. But then like that was maybe going to like get us into a bit of bother down the road, like PR wise. But I still think that that's a really good name for a band. And then Big Head Mode was like, it was a cheat code on GoldenEye on the N64 back in the day. But it's kind of not a direct, I don't know really. We went down too many avenues for me to remember why exactly we landed on Big Head Mode. But I like it. It feels like the band now feels like Big Head Mode, so it doesn't, it doesn't really matter anymore.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to speak a little bit about that, actually. It's funny you mentioned, GoldenEye and things like that, because it feels like you pull from kind of pop culture and you're quite playful a lot of the times in your namings and the album cover as well. I wanted to speak a little bit about that. I'm a massive wrestling fan, and you told the story behind it on Instagram the other day, and I thought it could be sweet if you elaborated on it a little bit for the listeners today.
I think the essence of like us doing this thing is like trying to, as brothers growing up, we like spent a lot of time like fighting and wrestling and like tearing about. And like, I think part of doing that as a kid with your friends, like with your brothers and whatever, is like, there's loads of imagination. It's a really creative process that you don't like associate with creativity, because you're little kids or whatever. But it's amazing. And that was kind of like the only time maybe in the past since Big Head Mode that we've had like, that imaginative creative output together. And so we were kind of, we thought with this album, it's like, right, we'll reference lots of stuff from our past, whether it's wrestling or video games, all of the content that we put out, like the little reels and stuff on Instagram, is all stuff that's been filmed on our mum and dad's like camcorder from the 90s. So Ewan got that off them, and we filmed a lot of ourselves playing, but then there's also some footage of like around where we grew up and stuff. So yeah, try like not leaning like too heavy into the nostalgia thing, but we definitely wanted to bring in the playfulness of like being brothers and just like things that meant a lot to us back then, I guess. But also like we're quite serious people, but we're also like really not serious at times. I think like a musical project's got to be a reflection of who you are as people, so it would be weird for both of us to do a super, super serious, all the time vibe for a band, because that's not like who we are as people.
Yeah, for sure. I think you portray that essence really, really well. In that story over on Instagram, you speak a little bit about becoming musicians and kind of finding yourselves in separate cities. Where was it that each of you were based?
So I studied in Birmingham at the Conservatoire there, and Ewan studied in London at Trinity in Greenwich. Yeah, but we both studied jazz music. Really similar courses, like 4-year courses. And I stuck around him. I started doing a lot of like session work straight out of uni that was between Cardiff and London. So I kind of stuck around in Brum and carried on doing that sort of work. And he stuck around in London since he finished there. So yeah, he spends a lot of time getting the train up here. I spend a lot of time down in London working. I mean, Birmingham was kind of great for that because she's like 2 hours from anywhere, you know.
Yeah,
well, it could be in Manchester or Cardiff or London or whatever. And yeah, even with stuff like this nowadays, it's a lot geographically, it's a lot easier to work projects across different places.
all of that leads us to now the new album, Return of the Hellcat. Your music often involves a real fusion of genres. How do you balance those kind of diverse influences to create your guys' unique sound?
I think process-wise, we kind of stick to this idea where we really like artists and we really like albums that are super diverse, like aesthetically, you know, like Flying Lotus or even like the Dilla stuff, you know, there's often like a soul to it, but the sound worlds and the palettes are really different track to track. So we kind of lean into that, and there's no rules in terms of what sounds, and like the more wild and different the, you know, sound worlds we lean into, the better. But we always record like every track, the drums and the keys. So when we do everything, I play like Rhodes sounds on a bottom keyboard with my right hand. I play all the bass sounds with my left hand on the top keyboard. And we always track that together for every track. So on the whole album, if you hear drums and bass and keys at the same time, that will be a live recorded track. And then a lot of the other stuff will be layered up and produced around that. And I guess that's how we kind of get away with it, trying to have like, that's our sound, like us playing together. I guess kind of like a producer, you know, you can hear a Flylo track or a Dilla track, and it can be 2 tracks with the craziest different sound palette, but you can kind of tell the essence of what that, you know when it's a Dilla beat, or you know it's a Flylo beat, or you know when it's Rage Against the Machine or like the Chili Peppers. It's got like a sound, you know.
On the album, I think you have a great ear for collaborators. Looking even back at the last project, I've always loved Ant Lavelle on Nag Champion. That's one of my favourite tracks. What qualities do you look for in other artists when looking to collaborate?
That is sick that you love Ant. That I love that track as well. He was the guy that sorted out all of our Big Head basement gigs. Do you know any of the VHS footage of us playing in that like dark little basement? That was a residency that we did, and he was working at Four Quarters in Peckham at the time, and he put us onto that. But he's a legend. I absolutely love that guy. What was the question?
Sorry, I think you have a real good ear for searching for collaborators and reaching out. What qualities do you look for in those other artists?
It's not really any looking. They're all like just either my mates or Ewan's mates. Yeah. Like that's it. Like Sarah and Plum and Maria and or even Dylan off like one of the old tunes. Like they're all people from South London's like jazz scene. Either people Ewan studied with, or he's played in other bands with, or just like his mates really. And then Sosa Cole off the old record, or Tom Ford, or Anyone the Wonder and Nathan. They're just my friends from like the Midlands as well. I think the thing that we've both had these independent careers as professional musicians in these different places means that we that networking thing of having to find collaborators, or we exist within a community where that is already there. So it's less like finding collaborators. It's more like just making music with our friends.
Yeah, which is awesome, which is what you always want it to be. Well, you're ready to take the album now to the big stage. Last I knew, you guys were doing, was it Black Sabbath mode back in November?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
That was a bit of funding, like a commission from PRS, the publishing guys, and B Music, so Symphony Hall in Birmingham. It was just a commission, jazz commission they do every year, where there's like a pot of money to fund creating a new work, and it was collaborative between two artists. So we did it with Plum, who is just an unreal vocalist and singer from South London, just incredible. And yeah, we just spent like a very, very long time in a rehearsal room, like reimagining all this Black Sabbath music. And then we did a gig at Symphony Hall. We did another gig at the Hare and Hounds, and we've recorded like 20 minutes worth of it in an amazing venue in Birmingham called Pan Pan. So we've done like a live video recording thing that will be out soon, and we've got some gigs coming up with it. And it's kind of, it's like, the way I describe it is, it's like Big Head Mode, but like just a bit punkier and a bit like heavier. And it's all like based around the music of Black Sabbath, which is just like unreal. And I absolutely love that band like so much. And it's super grateful to be able to have the opportunity to play some of that music.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I wouldn't say exactly what it is covers. I think there's a big thing now of like reimagining music and it being this kind of different thing, separate from a cover. Was there any elements of that or anything you learned when trying to do that, bleeding into the new album and new recordings and things?
Definitely in terms of process. So I think with like this, with Return of the Hellcat, it was a lot of material that was kind of developed over a long period of time, and lots of little, just chipping away at lots of various different pieces and sending files back and forward and various different creative sessions, and really beautiful and holistic, but quite fragmented. Whereas this was like get in a room for like 3 days, 8 hours a day, and just like grind out some art. And I actually love that way of doing it. I think it's really good. It's kind of like the way that it used to happen. You know, you would get into a room with some people and lock yourself away and make something. And even with a recording process or like a creative process, that idea of just you go in and you do it. I feel like people do that less now. Like a lot of stuff is like sending files over the internet and loose collaborators. But yeah, that was that really.
Yeah, nice. And Return of the Hellcat, ready to go on tour. Are you looking forward to it?
Yes, absolutely buzzing. We had we did some rehearsals last week because we're kind of like jazz musicians by trade. We don't really do like the regular weekly rehearsal things that maybe like a rock band would do, or like, you know, other acts. We kind of have these intense like R&D sessions for making the set, and then go out and like gig it really. But yeah, we got together last week and like put together this like just like a power hour set, like all the hits, and it's great. It's really good, and I just love playing live. It's just the two of us. There's like no stress. Like it's very natural. It's really fun. We've tweaked our live set over the years as well. I used to play like take my Fender Rhodes with me everywhere and some old like vintage effects pedals. It just like it kept like I had to get like the soldering iron out in like the middle of shows and like screwdrivers because it kept like breaking. So I've like changed my setup a little bit and like simplified it, but it's just like it's sounding sick. And Yui's like added some pedals and some stuff to his setup as well. So yeah, really excited to get out there and play some of these tunes.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I think as well as your recording material, that is what makes up a large half of the attraction to you guys. You're such great live musicians. So do you think there's any elements, like particular moments of the new album that you're really looking forward to kind of tackling at shows?
Yeah, I think there's definitely, for me, there's a bit more improvising actually. There was an idea at the beginning when we started off doing Big Head Mode that we were like, let's just make like an amazing grooving sound world, you know, like Krang or like, you know, like JD and Dommy, you know, just like a really beautiful sound world that's like grooving and people, and like that was definitely the focus. But then recently it's been like, I mean, I've been getting back to improvised music and jazz music after spending a lot of time playing, you know, doing session stuff and playing some pop music and stuff like that. And it just feels great to do loads more improvising on these songs. Just a bit more space and a bit more like freedom to, we would call it like playing out on stuff, you know, playing out on stuff. So having parts of the set where we can just go off and like find some new areas. Yeah, I guess a lot of the new tunes like Marvin Martian and probably like 6 Days of Madness, tunes like that just really lend themselves to lots of like improvised passages.
Nice. I'm really glad you're looking forward to it. Any chance it's coming over to Leeds anytime soon?
Well, I was going to say, man, I have a couple of friends in Leeds, and booking up being like all of this stuff as like an independent artist, you've got to be like the social media manager, the tour booker, the this, that, and the other. Yeah. I spoke to loads of people about coming and doing a gig in Leeds. We looked at like a few places, probably the obvious ones. I won't like list them all, but like, you know, the classics. Yeah,
just like a Pride Park book club. Sorry, yeah,
book club. Yeah, the classics. But I can't remember why we didn't find something or get something booked up. I've played Leeds loads over the years, various different places, and the Brudenell is like probably my favorite venue in the country.
Literally,
it sounds so sick. Every music venue should have like carpeted floors and like low ceilings. And, like, it's the sickest place to play. I don't think the Big Head Mode is quite ready for Brudenell yet. Hopefully, so. Yeah, but yeah, look, you should like ask. You know, this is Leeds Student Radio, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
if anybody is listening and knows of a place that could fit, you know, two brothers from Gloucestershire and to play some jazz fusion music, that would be amazing. Give us a shout. We are actively looking for a gig in Leeds.
Brilliant. We'll get it sorted. We'll have to. I think more than anything, this question answers it and showcases itself in the live aspects of the genre. So I've kind of slipped it in here. But how do you think the genre of jazz continues to evolve in today's industry?
How does it continue to evolve? I mean, it's already like so much further on than like when I was younger. Like, it's extraordinary. Like, I used to like listen to jazz music, but kind of like in secret as a kid. Like, it was not cool when I was like a teenager or in secondary school. And it wasn't really, I think maybe apart from like Jamiroquai and a few projects, it wasn't really part of the mainstream sound. It's more like lots of guitar music when I was growing up. And but now it's like everywhere, you know, it's so much of a part of like modern pop culture. And it seems to be really cool. It seems to be really like in the zeitgeist at the moment. It doesn't need push. People find, you know, jazz music and improvised music at different points. And I'm sure, and I often feel like these things come in waves naturally. You know, there'll be a time in 5-10 years, like thrashy guitar bands will be back being like all the rave, and, you know, and then there'll be a time where like hip hop and rap like has another big resurgence. These things just like flow in and out. It's a very natural process. I'm just really grateful at the moment that I get to do this band and make this music at a time when it is really culturally like hot to be doing this sort of music.
Yep, definitely. And there we have it from the Hellcat himself. Thank you very, very much for coming on the show. Maybe you can return to Leeds very, very soon. But lastly, I wanted to ask, what advice would you give to aspiring artists looking to make a mark in this industry?
What would an aspiring artist looking to make a mark in this industry? Probably to just like belligerently like stick to this, like whatever, like just make the music that is like your favorite kind of music. I've definitely in the past been like, you know, and with social media and just various things, been like confused about what the purpose of, you know, should I be leaning in this direction, doing that sort of thing, following that avenue, that like all of that is fine. And I there's certainly some like clever and good conversations to be had out there about like, you know, career paths and this, that, and the other. But in terms of art and making music, it's just like make the stuff that you would like to listen to. Like there's nothing. It's too easy to like follow a trend or whatever is in vogue, but people see through it straight away. It's really transparent, and people also recognize when someone's being authentic and when someone's making art that's like from the heart. It's really easy to spot in both ways. So I would just say, like, regardless of the outside noise or what you think is the right thing to be doing or what people are telling you is the right thing to be doing, just like stick to your guns and make what you want to make. That's the most important.